Yes, greetings in the name of one God, Emperor Haile Selassie I, mighty Trinity, blessed be Jah Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie I, live with His Majesty. Greetings, and my name is Brother Abdia Lyle Fox from the North American Branch Church over here. And we're going to have a reason, Church of Emperor Haile Selassie I, the branch in North America. And we're going to have a reason today about the Prime Minister of Ethiopia and certain situations going on. And as I start, this is a video recording of Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed's June 20th, 2018 presentation. He said, Ethiopian violence is a deep-seated legacy that has been going on for a long time in our history. The previous military turned communist leader, Mengistu Haile Mariam, ruled Ethiopia with an iron fist from 1974 to 1991. The imperial palace where I now reside as Prime Minister of Ethiopia has a long, bloody history. For example, Emperor Haile Selassie I dispensed a lot of justice from his palace, where he ended up buried just 5 or 6 meters away from where he used to sit. The Prime Minister continues, Mengistu Haile Mariam tortured and buried people right here in the backyard of Gibi Palace. And some of the tools he used in the torture of the people are still here. We will convert Menelik's palace to a museum so that the future generations of Ethiopians will learn of our bloody history. Please, people of Ethiopia, forgiveness and atonement is the only way forward. We know internal confrontation and armed struggle does not work. That's why Ethiopians are the laughing stock of the world. That's why our children are dying in South Africa, dying in the ocean, dying in Libya, dying in the desert, and the only benefit we have received from armed confrontation is death, destruction, and loss of respect by everyone. We have to learn how to love ourselves first. We have to start respecting ourselves. As for this overthrowing each other in government, we know it does not work. Please save the money you are spending on bullets. There are lots of Ethiopians that are living in Europe. Many of those people are on welfare, and Europeans have been able to give them monies to spend and life-sustaining income. But we Ethiopians are busy chasing and murdering each other from our villages. We find it impossible to even live together in such a large and lovely country. Shame on us. Majesty.
Greetings in the name of Emperor Haile Selassie I, one God. Greetings to all Ethiopians abroad, at home, and those who love justice and hate aggression. Today, we're looking for clarity from the Prime Ministers of Ethiopia and Eritrea on certain questions. You know, the question of 1953, when His Majesty went and opened the Parliament of Eritrea, and bring Eritrea back in the fold underneath Ethiopia. But to obtain that clarity, we have some questions, because I'm going to read a background of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, which brings certain things into question. He was born in Western Ethiopia. Abiy Ahmed joined the resistance against the regime of Mengistu Haile Mariam as a teenager before enlisting in the armed forces, reaching the rank of lieutenant colonel. He has a doctorate in peace and security studies. After a stint running Ethiopia's cyber intelligence service, he entered politics 8 years ago and rose rapidly up the ranks of the Oroma faction of the EPRDF, which has historically been at odds with the Tigrayans. And there I'll end this background, because here it looks like Mengistu Haile Mariam was being fought against by the current Prime Minister, and he rose in the ranks of the army, which we know typically is very much socialist in nature and under Meles and operating under Melis, operating under Haile Selassie, who were all dictators following the same ideology that Mengistu, oppressive ideology that Mengistu created in Ethiopia from 1974 to 1991. So with that, I'll pass it back to the Abuna and to continue the discussion. His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. Blessed be
Jah Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie I.
Greeting again to the Rasta people who love justice and integration. The question of clarity must start from the three Prime Ministers, Haile Miriam, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, Menis. These three individuals were Marxists, Leninists, Stalinists, because they fought against Mengistu, but at the same time they defend the Stalinism and the socialism, which can be clearly seen. The question of the present Prime Minister speaking of atonement and forgiveness, it is good. But we must remember, before he became Prime Minister, over 8,000 people were being killed. People were being killed because they asked them human rights and fundamental freedom for their land. And all of a sudden, him changed and take power from Haile Miriam. This is not logical. To give clarity, he would have to tell us something about his history, why he was elected to be the present Prime Minister, when all of these people were socialists. Although we acknowledge the present Prime Minister as our Prime Minister, it doesn't stop there. He is our Prime Minister through DNA, because 1966 in Jamaica, Parliament of Jamaica, His Imperial Majesty stated that Ethiopian people and Jamaican people are blood brother, DNA, which means that we are Ethiopian. And if he is the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, we'll have to acknowledge it. But at the same time, we have some form of clarity. Right now, 1953, His Imperial Majesty opened the electoral parliament. Election become back as a member of the Ethiopian Empire. And what is strange to us is that all of a sudden, the Ethiopian people and the Eritrean people is fighting a war. The Eritrean Prime Minister claimed that he will not acknowledge certain fundamental question until Ethiopia remove their armed force from the land of Eritrea. Again, this is another problem, because without Ethiopia of Eritrea, it is landlocked. It can become economic viable because there is no water place for their boat to bring exportation and good importation to Ethiopia. So what the Rastafari and the Church of Haile Selassie is asking is that where we go from here, we cannot hold back that justice we're entitled to, because irrespective Mengistu was a dictator in Ethiopia, him still hold on to Eritrea and did not give up Eritrea to nobody. So all of a sudden now the whole thing changed. This reminds us of Chamberlain and Hitler. One who said the present Prime Minister of Ethiopia, with respect, is acting like Hitler, and the Ethiopian people, the Amara people, Tigrayan people, and the Amara people is behaving like Chamberlain. To repeat him again.
Chamberlain.
But yes, one who said that they was behaving like Chamberlain. Because we realized that when Chamberlain met with Hitler, Hitler promised there would be no war in Europe. And she will leave Berlin and go back to England and go on the platform until people of England that there will be no more war. And 2 months after that, Hitler declared war on Czechoslovakia, Poland, Hungary. So what we are saying today, what guarantee that we have if the Ethiopian government withdraw them troops from Eritrea land. Eritrea don't declare war like what Hitler do. This is the question we're asking. We need some clarity. We need some clarity. Because if His Imperial Majesty 53 make a proclamation that Ethiopia and Eritrea become one, why 2018 there's a war? How can we trust the Eritrean government? That is the question we'd like to ask the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. And that is the question we'd like this student of politics and the cynical political scientists that came on the Times of Ethiopia. If they could give us some answer on it, how can we justify that we can trust Eritrea when His Imperial Majesty make a broadcast 53, creating back that unity in diversity with Eritrea? This is the question we have to ask. The next question again is that the Rastafarian movement and the Church of Haile Selassie I, over the months we've been trying to create a dialogue with the present government of Ethiopia to see where we can play an active part in the economic liberation by finding market for the sugar and other things that Ethiopia have to sell. And we have not received no answer from them. What justification they can show to us that they accept the Ethiopian concept of DNA presented by His Imperial Majesty in 1966? What guarantee we have that Ethiopia need friends abroad? Because they can't depend on the Chinese or the American. They want a new market. And we can find new market. But at the same time, we have an echo behind us. Liberation of the government of Haile Selassie I and liberation of constitutional monarchy. It is very fundamental that Ethiopian people at home tonight think about it. Without a restoration of the government of Haile Selassie I and a restoration of constitutional monarchy, Ethiopia will not be trusted by the world. Because if you overthrow your monarchy and your king, how can that average man trust you when you destroy the integrity and the sovereignty of Ethiopia? It's very important that we get some clarity on this question. It's priority one, the question of Eritrea. Priority two, the question of His Imperial Majesty name associated with the name of Mengistu Haile Mariam. Because the present Prime Minister said that 5 to 8 meters from where he was sitting as Prime Minister, Haile Selassie gave a lot of justice, which the phrase that they used that he killed innocent people. And that is not right where the phraseology was.
Sure.
Where it was.
The phraseology he said was the justice and refute. Says, the imperial palace where I now reside as Prime Minister of Ethiopia has a long and bloody history. For example, Emperor Haile Selassie I dispensed a lot of justice from this palace.
When he claims that His Majesty dispensed a lot of justice, that grammar is demoralizing.
Sure.
Because it's showing that His Majesty and Mengistu is the same person. He gave no justice. When we speak of Ethiopia, he ancient glory and the His Imperial Majesty's speech to the OAU and the Conference of Economic Development of Ethiopia. Him show something that His Majesty did, but they don't speak of nothing they did 1936 of Geneva.
Sure.
Which he could do that. So it's not so we're going to question the integrity of the Prime Minister, but we and the people of Ethiopia who is abroad need more clarity. There's no question about it. We want to know what His Majesty did to what the two governments did. Because from 1931, the 6th of July, His Majesty changed Ethiopia from medieval dispensation to 21st century development. And everything that done in Ethiopia from 1931 to the President in 1973 was done by His Imperial Majesty. And I believe that the Prime Minister owe the student and the young people of Ethiopia some form of clarity that they can go forward with pride from what His Majesty did. The Church of Haile Selassie I and the Federation Ideologies Incorporated is appealing to the Prime Minister to give some clarity on Eritrea, because right now Eritrea is priority one, dealing with liberation of Ethiopia. And without the people of Ethiopia and the young student get some clarity on Eritrea, then that question will show on and carpet. And we don't want that. So we're asking the Prime Minister to give us some clarity that we can disseminate it back to the people of the Caribbean and the third world people to justify the whole thing. Blessed be Jah,
Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie I.